I have a rendezvous with death. We'll preserve the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
No fear. No political correctness. No wokeism. You're listening to Underground USA.
Thanks for downloading, listening, and sharing. My name is Frank Salvato. There comes a time when, after being sucker punched by someone you considered a friend and ally, you have to exact a comeuppance, establish a definitive understanding of a realignment in the relationship. Just such a time has come with U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky. Yes, it's common knowledge that McConnell and Donald Trump have a deeply seated dislike for each other, although, by all accounts, Trump has been more adult about their differences than McConnell. But it is not McConnell's prerogative or political station to not only put himself above the president's agenda, but also to usurp the mandate of the American people. He is and has done both. His vote against Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence is the latest example. His vote was vindictive and shallow, and it should have significant consequences, most of which the deep staters will be reluctant to pursue. This week, the U.S. Senate voted to confirm Gabbard as the DNI. The New York Post reporting,
the U.S. Senate confirmed former Representative Tulsi Gabbard as President Trump's spy chief Wednesday, elevating the ex-Democrat and privacy hawk to a cabinet-level position in the Republican administration. The upper chamber voted 52-48 to confirm Gabbard, with Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, joining all 47 Democrats in opposition.
In his dissent, McConnell stated that Gabbard was unworthy of the highest public trust, and that he feared that future intelligence assessments could be tainted given her history of alarming lapses of judgment. What are those lapses that McConnell is so troubled by? Well, those lapses included not condemning NSA leaker Edward Snowden's treasonous betrayal of the U.S., and refusing to condemn Vladimir Putin's decision to invade Ukraine, as well as not acknowledging that the growing threat of the communist Chinese on the world stage is not a result of threat inflation by the West. Entrusting the coordination of the intelligence community to someone who struggles to acknowledge these facts is an unnecessary risk, McConnell said. Now, let's consider who McConnell has voted for in the past. It should be noted here that McConnell voted for these Biden cabinet nominees: Antony Blinken for Secretary of State, Janet Yellen for Secretary of the Treasury, Lloyd Austin for Secretary of Defense, Alejandro Mayorkas for Secretary of Homeland Security, Avril Haines for Director of National Intelligence, Jennifer Granholm for Secretary of Energy, Pete Buttigieg for Secretary of Transportation, Deb Haaland for Secretary of the Interior, Gina Raimondo for Secretary of Commerce, Merrick Garland for Attorney General, Tom Vilsack for Secretary of Agriculture, Xavier Becerra for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Marty Walsh for Secretary of Labor, and Marcia Fudge for Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. In fact, McConnell only voted against one of Biden's cabinet nominees, Neera Tanden, for Director of the Office of Management and Budget, who withdrew her nomination after it became clear she didn't have enough support for confirmation. Additionally, McConnell voted for these Obama cabinet nominees: Hillary Clinton for Secretary of State, Eric Holder for Attorney General, Janet Napolitano for Secretary of Homeland Security, and Kathleen Sebelius for Secretary of Health and Human Services, among a list of others. As an aside, McConnell is married to Elaine Chao, who, while serving as the U.S. Secretary of Transportation in President Trump's first administration, elicited concerns about potential conflicts of interest due to her family's business connections with Communist China. Chao's family founded Foremost Group, a shipping company with significant business dealings in China. Foremost Group has constructed ships in Chinese state-owned shipyards, and some of these ships were even financed by the Chinese government. From January 2018 to April 2019, 72% of the company's cargo was shipped to and from China. In 2004, McConnell's net worth exploded from approximately $3.1 million to between $9.2 million and $36.5 million by 2014. This was partly due to gifts from the Communist Chinese-affiliated Chow family. Additionally, members of the Chow family, including those associated with Foremost Group, have donated over $1 million to McConnell's political campaigns over the years. All of that should have been enough to have ended anyone else's political career, if not at least see him or her under investigation for a possible illegal relationship with the Communist Chinese. But McConnell? He was elevated to majority leader in the US Senate by the go-along-to-get-along deep staters in the Republican hierarchy. Today, McConnell, having descended from his throne of leadership after doing all the damage he could to the Trump 2024 campaign and the campaigns of those running for U.S. Senate under the GOP banner, exists as the proverbial thorn in the side of a desperately needed reformist agenda being spearheaded by Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency at Donald Trump's order. So, after all this, some serious questions remain. Why do Republicans put up with McConnell? Why hasn't this political traitor, on the level of Benedict Arnold when it comes to political party, been made to pay a severe penalty for his party disloyalty and his self-elevation above the rank-and-file Republican voters, not to mention the plurality of voters who voted Donald Trump a mandate for absolute reformative change? The DNC chair should call for an emergency executive committee vote to A, excommunicate McConnell from the National Republican Party, and B, forbid any RNC-affiliated organization from facilitating any funding or fundraising mechanism for McConnell, his campaigns, or any campaign that McConnell supports. Kentucky's GOP should follow suit on both measures. With the Senate voting 52-48 to confirm Tulsi Gabbard as DNI, and McConnell joining all 47 Democrats in opposition, the only Republican to do so, we should all confidently assume that McConnell will always vote with Democrats on key votes, especially when that vote will hurt Donald Trump. Honestly, with the beautiful winds of reformative change in the air and the deep state concerned about the longevity of their grift, isn't it time to make an example out of one of the biggest grifters in Republican Party history, Mitch McConnell? Let's be done with this jagoff. If you like the podcast, please rate it and comment if your platform lets you. Go over to undergroundusa.com and subscribe to the Substack. But more importantly, talk to your friends, family, colleagues, and acquaintances about politics and religion. You'll be surprised how much you have in common with a great many of those you talk to. It's something we can all do to preserve the Republic. My name is Frank Salvato, and you're listening to Underground USA.
You're listening to Underground USA.